Arith torture. That is what I think most of you are here for. You want to see me torture myself with the worst comics ever. This is outrageously atrocious. Secret Defenders 16, written by Tom Brevoort. But you might be gaslit by this cover. We have a Ron Lee cover. It is too good for such a truly fecal quality comic. There, this is more like it. This trash art. This page also reminds you how deficient the writing of this comic is. It recaps the first part for you, and it's only now that we even understand parts of the plot that we saw. Ideas and agendas were not made clear in part 1, and it takes until part 2 tells you what you were meant to have seen that you have a clue what is or was happening. At the end of the issue before this, Dr. Druid was meant to have cowardly abandoned the team who were left fighting museum patrons that had come to life. None of this was ever clear, whatsoever. There were opportune times to tell us this, but it never did make that concession. I thought it was just the bad guys summoning monsters from another dimension, and the Dr. Druid thing, they just stopped drawing them on the page. You're meant to infer that he ran out on them from the fact that he isn't drawn. The Defenders, led by Dr. Druid, include Luke Cage's Dead Pills and Sepulture, and they are trying to stop an evil witch woman called Malachi from getting a magic stone, a typical MacGuffin. She brought museum exhibits to life to fight them. It's all shit. The art is crap. The writing is miserably bad. There is no spark of life or charm anywhere. And I am doing a better job at explaining the plot than the comic ever does. Sepulture is a relatively new character created by Marky Mark J in Kazar. And the closest thing to novelty this run might have had, for me, is expanding on her. She has generic shadow powers, but the thing that everyone who knew, or even just saw an image of the character, wanted to know is why she is dressing like the original Spider-Girl. No answer to that. Instead, in a few pages, we embark on Tom Brevoort's weirdo rape fantasy with Sepulture. The thing is, this team, it is Dr. Druid. He is leading the team, so expect plenty of mental manipulation, if not outright rape. He manipulates Luke Cage's into continuing to fight at his side. This is shit. This really is the lowest form of shit. What irritates me is that Tom Brevoort is one of those clowns who hops on and on about how bad Marvel was in the 90s. Is he talking about his run on Secret Defenders, which is truly the epitome of bad 90s Marvel comics? No, he's always dissing Excellent Force, a book that, after the early departure of Robert Liefeldman, was actually decent a lot of the time. A book filled with ideas and character arcs. It had actual stories and even good art. But no, Adam Egg is lame and wears a backwards cap. Marvel was shit in the 90s. LOL. The next few pages were a case of me wanting to abandon even reading this, let alone reviewing it. This is sludge. There's no better word for what this comic is on the shelves. It is sludge. You look through the comics out that month. Spider-Man, Silver Surfman, Sybil Savile. What's this? Oh, I just stuck my hand into some sludge. What's that doing in a comic book store? We get Malachi's backstory here. I'm not even going to tell you it. It wasted my time, and I am not wasting yours. Then we get Sepultura telling us her origin. The best writers always follow up one character telling you their origin with a different scene of another character telling you their unrelated origin. As I said, she is a Marky Mark G character. I would have loved to see where he went with her. I imagine he did have an explanation for why she was wearing a dark version of Spider-Girl's costume. Before I cover what we have here, I will also say 5 or 6 issues later, we get another telling of her origin, a more complete version, with some elements that are missing in this initial recount. Dr. Druid was touring the college circuit, giving lectures on mysticism and the occult. And this woman, this young, attractive student, she had no interest in those topics whatsoever, but she felt compelled to go. Like someone had taken control of her. I don't know, like someone had mesmerised her. It's probably just a weird sensation, right? Let's not actually get any more into that aspect, and instead, let's establish that she and Dr. Druid are definitely soulmates. After Dr. Druid, of course, uses his powers on her to open up her mind, they are in love. They are reincarnated souls of 2 lovers. And nothing suspicious about the man who reveals all this to her through the use of his patented mind control powers. The worst bit is yet to come. I will include the extra detail from the other issue. One day, she walked in on Dr. Druid performing an arcane ritual, and he wound up killing her. To keep her alive, though, he bound her soul to an ornament, and now he can summon her forth from the ornament for sexual pleasure, and she dissipates and vanishes whenever Dr. Druid doesn't want her around, or she starts getting on his nerves. I'll give Tom Brevoort one back pat. At least he did say with apologies to Marky Mark J in the later issue. On one hand, it is a deplorable origin, but he has split it between 2 issues. The statue stuff, the soul binding, isn't established here, but you can clearly see the inescapable foreshadowing that thinks it's been subtle, with Dr. Druid holding it on the left, and then Dead Pills also holding it. I reckon Tom Brevoort realised that combining both these parts together make it very dodgy, and more apparent that it is his thing. We have this reincarnation idea, an idea which is presented by a character that the scripts continue to show as morally vacuous, an idea that Dr. Druid somehow had knowledge of beforehand, before meeting her, an idea that conveniently strips away any of Sepultura's agency. maybe even consent if you want to get into it. She came to this lecture because she felt a pull. A lecture by a character who famously uses his mental powers to force people to do whatever he wants. And then in private, he does mentally possess her in tandem with this story that is meant to justify Sepulcha's inexplainable attraction to Dr. Droom. After Dr. Droom tells her this through his mental powers, after Dr. Droom convinces her of this, she no longer has any personal desires or even a personal life. All she's living for is this reunion of lovers. I don't know, Dr. Droom is a bad character to maybe do this with. If this was meant to be sincere, who in their right minds is approaching this with an open mind that it is completely legit? Everyone hates Dr. Droom. Nobody believes this woman isn't being taken advantage of somehow. Even if Tom Brevoort does insist there is, quote, no sexual misconduct, the statue stuff is creepy and weird, and we're seeing Tom Brevoort's horrible sex fantasies here. He wants this idyllic fairy tale story about two long-lost lovers reincarnated. But he also cannot be asked with women or their natter, so it would be good if she was just a sex genie. She has no life outside of being brought forth to pleasure Tom. Wait, that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? That's okay. The romanticism and the backstory totally invalidates any concerns about Tom being a pervert. I did consider ending the review there, but we also have our introduction to Tom Brevoort's new character, Cadaver, the one from the cover. This teenager is at a graveyard, and his life force is sucked off by Malachi. Then we have heroes fighting Malachi in the graveyard, and the art is piss poor. I don't know if it's a bad artist or an artist who realises he's drawn shit, so he isn't trying. No entertaining interactions between our characters even. You have Luke Cages and Dead Pills, and their dialogue and characterisation is stilted and impersonal. Oh, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I might as well. They collected this absolute shit. They collected the run. They marketed it as Dead Pills and the Secret Defenders, and that is repulsive. Dead Pills is only in the first 3 issues. He's not in the run. He is a guest star in 3 issues and he does nothing. I just imagine Dead Pills fans or casual fans buying that collection, and it depresses me. I don't want people to read this. Marvel shouldn't. These are some of the absolute worst pieces of garbage they ever put out. And they reprint that, but not brilliant stories from the 80s and 90s. Cadaver, only unoriginal character. That teenager from before, he is resurrected as a Zumba hero. It is linked to Doctor Strange magic entities, and he uses Cadaver. He uses a sword, which, as I noted last week, is the Sword of Strength from Conan the Barber comics. Actually, I'll talk more about Cadaver next issue. I feel a bit spent with this one. The bottom panel of this page is okay. It might be a Stockholm Syndrome type thing, but that is one of the better pieces in the issue. Whereas this isn't. How can someone make a woman going mad with power not be arousing to me? Shit. It's shit. Goodbye. 7 thumbs up, I suppose.